Above and beyond the headlines tonight on the program, from Batang Maynila to Batang Malacanang, Manila Mayor Isko Moreno formally launches his presidential bid and taps doctor and online personality Willie Ong as running mate. Strong words against the United Nations. President Duterte says the organization no longer reflects the political and economic realities of the world, adding it needs to reform itself. And this Korean Netflix series is taking over social media for a number of reasons, including a 3-meter-tall doll of a not-so-friendly character which appeared at a mall in Metro Manila. Filipinos will have another option for president in the coming elections. Manila Mayor Isko Moreno formally announced he is eyeing the country's top post and will have a doctor and online personality Willie Ong as his running mate. Their promises: inclusive governance, a better pandemic response, and openness to cooperate with different political parties. Our Paulo Barcelon breaks down the tandem's entry to the presidential race.
An unprecedented tandem for an election in unprecedented times. Presidential aspirant Manila Mayor Isko Moreno and running mate Dr. Willie Ong say this will be their appeal to voters. In a proclamation rally at the nation's capital, the two promise a better pandemic response and national unity. Moreno touts his upbringing in the slums of Tondo, which helped him prepare for the job as Manila Mayor, but not using this as a license for foul language.
Lumaki akong busabos, ngunit hindi ako naging bastos. Bagamat balot ako ng dumi sa katawan, ni minsan hindi ko kailangan sabunin ang aking bibig.
Moreno vows good governance in leadership, saying he's had enough of officials good in presentations but falls short on implementation, an apparent reference to the supposed mishandling of pandemic response by the administration.
I will form the broadest form of government with the best and brightest at its helm.
Meanwhile, Ong says Moreno first asked him to run again for the Senate, a race the doctor lost in 2019. He eventually agreed to run as Moreno's VP. Ong promises a renewed focus on healthcare, especially in a crisis situation.
Bibigay ko yung pinakatamang bakuna sa inyo. Yung mga darating, o-order tayo, yung sasaksak, yung the best. Yung gamot, the best. Ayoko kayo araw-araw, check ng check. Nako, tumaas ba yung kaso? Bumaba na yung kaso. Diba? Gagawin natin siguro every 3 days lang. Okay?
3 sitting and former lawmakers immediately give their support to the Moreno-Ong tandem. The husband and wife team of Senator Ralph Recto and Batangas Representative Vilma Santos Recto and former Senator Serge Osmeña. Acción Democrático, the party Moreno currently leads, will have a mass oath-taking activity on Thursday. Moreno and Ong have yet to complete their Senate slate, saying they are open to collaborate with different political parties and backgrounds. But one thing is sure at this point: the quest of the so-called Batang Maynila to become Batang Malacanang has officially begun. Paulo Barcelon, CNN Philippines.
So will Batangas Representative Vilma Santos Recto run for the Senate? Her husband, Senator Ralph Recto, says it will be under the Moreno-Ong tandem if she ever decides to run. Recto adds Vilma will come up or will make a decision by the end of the month. Meanwhile, Lakas CMD Party President and House Majority Leader Martin Romualdez says Isko Moreno made an excellent choice with Dr. Willie Ong as his running mate. Romualdez describes Ong as a decent man who truly cares for his fellow men. Ong is the party's vice president for health services. Lakas CMD Secretary General Prospero Pichay says Ong has not officially resigned from his post but has informed him of his plan to leave. The vice presidential aspirant and Senate President Tito Soto welcomes Ong's decision to run, saying, quote, "The more the merrier, as Filipinos will have more choices in the elections." The health department records a drop in new COVID cases at over 15,500. Four laboratories were not able to submit data. Apart from that, testing output is also down by 23,000 compared to the average number for the past 7 days. The last time the figure fell below 15,000 was exactly 2 weeks ago. Now, the Labor Department is working to generate more jobs for Filipinos. Over 40,000 workers were permanently displaced because of COVID restrictions. Tristan Odalo has more details.
Thousands of displaced workers have yet to feel the impact of the new alert level system being pilot tested in Metro Manila. The National Capital Region is currently under alert level 4, which means that some businesses are allowed to operate in limited capacity.
Sad to say, yung mga 10% lang yung pwede, yung mga 30%, it will not make much dent in terms of recovering the employment that are lost. Siguro kung 50 to 75%, malaking bagay po yun.
The Labor Department is now coordinating with the business sector to open up more job opportunities for displaced workers. Some of the employment bright spots are in construction, manufacturing, hotel accommodation, and IT BPO. Meantime, the Labor Department says over 43,000 workers were permanently displaced as of August 30. They came from nearly 2,000 establishments, mostly personal care services such as salons, spas, and massage clinics. As of now, DOLE says ayuda can no longer be provided for these workers under current funding.
Kapag nagde-declare po ngayon halimbawa ng mga granular lockdowns, it's really the DSWD that provides assistance doon sa ating mga kababayan. Pero ito pong mga ayuda po natin under the bayanihan po, alam naman po natin lalong-lalo na for the formal sector ay natapos na po.
Apart from ayuda, displaced workers can also ask DOLE for possible livelihood programs. They can also avail technical courses in order to upgrade their skills in finding new jobs. Applicants can visit the DOLE website or check their regional offices. Tristan Odalo, CNN Philippines.
Coming up, President Duterte criticizes the United Nations, calling the organization inadequate, among other things. And a 10-foot doll thrills Metro Manila pedestrians. More details after the break.
Council of Belarus, my main responsibility was to see to it that the citizens that were in the Philippines were able to get back to their country. With my busy schedule, I discovered MX3 is a big factor in improving our health, and I've been taking it for more than 7 years already. I'm Annette Ablan, the Honorary Consul of the Republic of Belarus to the Philippines.
Mahalagang paalala, ang MX3 capsule ay hindi gamot at hindi dapat gamitin pang gamot sa anumang uri ng sakit. Bawat patak, may sarap, may lakas, sulit. Red Horse Beer. Red Horse, it's your show! Ito ang tama!
I have about an hour before my next appointment, so I'm going to stop by my regular auto care center and get the car checked up, maybe even an oil change. Here it is right here.
Hi, good day, sir. Welcome to Petron Car Care Center.
Thank you very much. I just want an oil change, please.
Sir, you go to Petron Engine Oil Rebex.
You got it. What I love about Petron Car Care Center is they offer a full range of automotive repair and maintenance service, from lubrication, tune-ups, even tire and electrical maintenance and repairs. Any care your car needs is right in here. so it's hassle-free and convenient. Their outlets nationwide have highly skilled technicians who use state-of-the-art tools and equipment to keep your vehicle in tip-top condition. So expect expert solutions to your concerns and effectual service from their staff.
So how's it going, Kuya?
Good. With Petron's extensive range of internationally accredited lubricants, both mineral and fully synthetic, the Car Care Center over here, which is your automotive fluid specialist, is your one-stop shop for all your lubricants. Now, it's necessary to have checks and regular oil changes because this has a significant impact on your engine's performance. This is why it's so important to use quality engine oils that are designed to provide ultimate engine protection. Formulated with dynamic cleaning technology that promotes superior engine cleanliness for a more efficient and longer engine life, Petron RevX is my top choice. It has an outstanding oxidation resistance to keep your car's engine healthy and perform exceptionally good. First-rate cleanliness, protection, and maintenance. It's all guaranteed here at Petron. Petron, may kasabay sa lakbay.
Welcome back to Newsnight, where we go above and beyond the headlines. President Duterte did not beat around the bush as he faced world leaders at the United Nations Assembly. Mr. Duterte, in a pre-recorded speech, slammed the body for proving to be inadequate and called on the United Nations to, quote, reform itself. The president also touched on other topics like COVID-19 vaccines, human rights, and the West Philippine Sea. Trisha Terada tells us what else he said.
I congratulate
Strong words from President Rodrigo Duterte to the United Nations during his speech at the 76th General Assembly. He calls out the UN Security Council for violating the tenets of the organization, saying it is not democratic and transparent in its processes. On the ground, critics of the president have also been calling him out to be transparent with his accumulated income through the course of his presidency.
The UN is a product of an era long past. It no longer reflects the political and economic realities of the world. If the UN is to lead the world out of the many crises we face, things need to change. The UN must empower itself by reforming itself. Therein lies the hope of humanity.
President Duterte also condemns what he calls vaccine inequality. The chief executive slams the widening gap between the poor and the rich because of the pandemic. He laments how developing countries struggle to get vaccines while the rich are already talking about booster shots.
This is shocking beyond belief and must be condemned for what it is. A selfish act that can either be justified rationally or morally.
The president also touched on human rights, subtly telling the UN to back off and stop intervening in the administration's anti-illegal drug campaign. He tells the UN that he ordered the Justice Department and the police to review the anti-drug campaign in the country. He assures the body that those who abuse the law will be held liable.
Meaningful change to be enduring must come from within. The imposition of one's will over another, no matter how noble the intent, has never worked in the past, and it never will be in the future. How many more countries shall be made to unravel and descend into chaos before the powerful heed the simple lesson?
In his final speech before the UN as president, Mr. Duterte reiterates the importance of the arbitral win of the Philippines over China. In one of his regular Talk to the People addresses, he described the ruling as a, quote, piece of paper, unquote, that can be thrown in the wastebasket. But before the UN, he said, nothing can diminish the ruling's significance.
The award must be seen for what it is, a benefit across the board to all who subscribe to the majesty of the law. No amount of willful disregard by any country, however big and powerful, can diminish the arbitral award's importance.
The chief executive reiterated his position, disputes must be resolved peacefully. Malacanang says the president never changed his conviction from the beginning. Trisha Terada, CNN, Philippines.
This is the second time that President Duterte reinforced the country's arbitral win against China before the UN, but former Foreign Affairs Secretary Albert Del Rosario says words are not enough. Del Rosario acknowledges that the president can gain more support by bringing the matter before the international community. But the former top diplomat adds the chief executive should follow through with specific steps to enforce the landmark ruling. Presidential Assistant in Foreign Affairs Robert Borge, however, says otherwise.
Here, it's a reiteration, it's not a stronger reiteration of that position, but our position is that since day one, it's been the same, and we've been witness to what the president has done in his engagements with ASEAN and with his leaders, with leaders, relevant leaders, when it comes to this issue. Iba kasi yung dinidiscuss inside, the language is very different. And I think the public pronouncement he has, it's a way of explaining what the real politic is behind the position.
The Chinese Foreign Ministry earlier dismissed the arbitral ruling as invalid and baseless. Authorities have noted an increase in mobility since restrictions were somehow eased under Alert Level 4 in Metro Manila. The same thing is happening in other regions, and a psychologist says one reason may be pandemic fatigue. Kylin Bonkin has that story.
Alana Cruz and her family drove all the way from Bulacan to Tagaytay before heading to Batangas to celebrate her child's birthday, a much-needed break this pandemic.
Bawas stress. Tapos para ano na rin po, libang kasi puro trabaho na rin araw-araw.
Google's data from mobile applications show mobility of people in the Philippines. Nationwide, more have been going to supermarkets and pharmacies this pandemic. But a closer look at the regions shows the number of people traveling and going to parks in Calabarzon recently was almost the same as before the pandemic despite movement restrictions.
Recent na ECQ natin, halos nawawala na yung pagiging effective niya in terms of inhibiting people to go outside. Yung blue kasi, which is grocery and pharmacy, understandable yan kasi talagang kailangan pumunta ng mga tao sa groceries and pharmacy. Kaya tumaas din siya. Actually, more than the pre-pandemic level. Yung parks, tsaka yung transit, nag-increase talaga siya ng todo.
Psychologist Camille Garcia is not surprised with this data, as many are experiencing pandemic fatigue. A quick trip may be a way to cope with stress brought by a long period of restricted lifestyle.
We're so exhausted with what is happening na talagang yung restricted na yung lifestyle natin. It becomes so difficult for us kasi parang hindi pa rin natin na-achieve yung supposed to be new normal.
The World Health Organization says pandemic fatigue could be causing a growing number of people to disregard protective health measures such as simply washing hands, wearing face masks, and social distancing. In fact, the WHO says more people are stressed over social and economic effects of the pandemic, such as losing a job than health risk.
It's about yung how we become so anxious. Yung mental health natin mismo talagang nagpa-falter na dahil kasi hindi ko na kayang i-cope ito. Yung mga racing thoughts na mga pwede mangyari sa akin.
Garcia is suggesting some ways to cope. Start journaling, declutter, be mindful, find new hobbies, and unplug yourself from bad news but stay connected with family and friends. If traveling is not an option, discover new places through books, photos, and food. Finding green spaces also helps.
All you have to do first, remove all those negative thoughts. Paano papasok yung positive kung puro negative yan?
Equally important is government's actions. The WHO says leaders should listen to what people need and find a way to reduce health risk to let people live their lives. Governments should also address the reasons others find it hard to follow health and safety measures. Those reasons include possibly losing income in case they are placed in isolation. Caroline Bonkin, CNN Philippines.
The former Commission on Elections official offers a compromise amid several calls to extend the voter registration period, which ends next Thursday, September 30th. Former Commissioner Louis Guia led the Election 2022 coalition in asking the poll body to consider requests for more time to register in areas like Metro Manila, which was under lockdown for a month. Guia says he understands preparations may be delayed if the total number of voters is not finalized early, which is needed to determine the number of precincts.
To at least consider, an extension that is of equivalent period as that covered by the lockdown or the time that registration was suspended. If we want an inclusive election, then we should accommodate them as much as we can. But there is also this that requirement, the need. Kasi election project yan, dapat may mga strict timeline din yan. Otherwise, baka mabulilyado.
23 senators earlier appealed for a month-long extension through a measure which was approved on second reading today. The Comlacan Bank is set to finally discuss the matter also today, but has yet to rule on it as of now. House leaders filed a similar bill seeking to extend voter registration. Authorities are awaiting autopsy results on the death or on the body of visual artist Bree Johnson. PNP says it is working with the NBI on the case. Johnson, whose real surname is Agunod, was found dead in a La Union hostel over the weekend. Local police reportedly retrieved cocaine in the room shared by Johnson and the son of prominent businessman and former Trade Minister Roberto Ongpin. Julian Ongpin was allegedly the artist's last companion. He's facing drug charges but was released pending a preliminary probe. The PNP says Ongpin faced investigators yesterday to shed more light on the incident. The agency vows a fair inquiry into the case. The Immigration Bureau is also on the lookout for Ongpin in case he tries to leave the country. Still ahead on Newsnight, an upcoming rock and K-pop collaboration is making the rounds on social media. And another hot topic online, a series nabs the #1 spot on Netflix Philippines less than a week after its release. More details after the break.
Nagsimula sa isang pangarap.
Ako na po, ma'am.
Ika'y tutulungang ibahin ang buhay na nakasanayan.
Naka 24 months ka na sa pag-ibig.
Panghulog na ako sa motor.
Uy, bagong motor!
Gagawa ng hakbang para mapaghandaan ng forever.
Ingat ka, ha?
At harapin ang bukas nang may maaasahan. Simulan mo na ang forever mo ngayon. Fund your forever with Pag-ibig Fund.
Register today!
Kumagaan ang inuman pag sandiglay.
Hoy, musta?
Ako, stressed sa work, kaya ini-imagine kong nasa beach ako.
Tapos ng mabigat na araw, mag-inuman with friends and San Miglay.
Ulitin natin to.
Ang alin? Imagine?
Hindi, mag-inuman!
When the world was changing for photographic film, we helped change the world as a pioneer of the digital age. In healthcare, we're revolutionizing diagnostics by applying our AI technology. But why stop there? When we can focus our AI and IoT expertise on business innovation, helping tackle some of the toughest challenges in the workplace. When it comes to innovating for a healthier world and a more sustainable society, we'll never stop. Fujifilm, value from innovation.
Listo at ganado ang baby ko sa vet-approved NutriChunks with active boost and prebiotics na pampalisto. Made with real meat, with essential nutrients to help them grow healthy and happy. Listo, ganado sa NutriChunks.
When it comes to heroes, kahit kailan hindi nagkulang ang Pilipinas. Mga taong matapang, lumalaban, at bumabangon kahit may kinakaharap na problema. O yung mga tinatawag nating never say die attitude. I'm Cristela Bello, your 2021 Ginebra San Miguel Calendar Girl, here to show you just how far a ganado sa buhay attitude can take you. Kaya samahan niyo akong kilalanin ng mga taong pwede nating pagkuhanan ng inspirasyon, lalo na sa panahon ngayon. Here on Bagong Tapang Stories. When turbulence hits in life, it hits hard. Natutunan ito ni Maurice Maureen Avila nung natanggal siya sa kanyang dream job bilang flight attendant noong 2020. Pinili niyang maging matapang. Ang tatay ni Mau ay isang tricycle driver at ang nanay niya ay nagbebenta ng peanut butter. Alam ni Mao na hindi sapat ang kinikita ng kanyang magulang para sa kanilang pamilya. So with support from her boyfriend, nagsimula siya ng kanyang unang business, ang magbenta ng LPG. Ibang-iba ito sa pagiging flight attendant, pero para kay Mao, it doesn't matter. Sabi nga niya, kahit gaano ka-glamorous yung work mo, huwag kang mahihiyang bumaba, huwag kang mahihiyang magtinda. And what other people have to say about your work does not matter. Pangarap pa rin niyang makalipad muli at bumalik sa pagiging flight attendant. But for now, whether she's selling LPG or doing any other job, she's taking things one day at a time.
Everywhere in the Philippines, there's an unsung hero whose story is just waiting to be told. Just goes to show that even in our day-to-day life, anyone can embody that bagong tapang spirit. I'm Cristel Abello, your 2021 GSM Calendar Girl. See you next time for more stories na nagpapakita na kahit may bagong hamon sa buhay, may bagong tapang sa One Ginebra Nation.
You're watching Newsnight. I'm Pia Ontiveros. Beloved Filipina fashion designer Criselda Lontoc said goodbye today with her youngest son releasing a heartfelt statement on Facebook. John Fernandez posted about his mother's passing, also announcing that a Zoom event will be held to celebrate Lontoc's life. The design icon entered the clothing industry with Rustan's co-founder Gliceria Tantoco's help. She then went on to create her own in-house label at Lontoco's retail company. The popular fashion brand Criselda, managed by Lontoc for 37 years, was among Rustan's top sellers. Now, fans all over the internet have been given a glimpse of Coldplay's much-anticipated collaboration with K-pop icons BTS. Yesterday, the British band uploaded a post of the two groups singing the chorus of My Universe in the studio together. The song is set for release on Friday. They teased the upcoming track again on Twitter today with a snippet of its lyric video. Both videos have gotten over 100,000 retweets each.
And it's not that we can't be together, because it hasn't come from different sides. You are my universe, and I just want to put you first.
My Universe will be the second single off Coldplay's next album, Music of the Spheres, and in true collaborative fashion, it'll be sung in both English and Korean to cater to both bands' supporters. The Netflix action drama Squid Game has captured netizens' attention after a Filipino face popped up on the screen. If you've watched the series, you might have spotted Christian Lagahit as Player 276. The Pinoy actor and English teacher resides in South Korea. He also made appearances in other popular K-dramas like Crash Landing on You. Lagahit's posts on Instagram include photos with other cast members such as Hyo Sung-tae, whom he called one of the coolest and nicest Korean actors he's met. The series also gained attention after one of its scariest characters, a 10-foot-tall doll, appeared at the Robinsons Galleria East Wing entrance. Netflix shared a video on its Facebook page of the massive figure as it monitored unsuspecting jaywalkers. Despite premiering just 5 days ago, the thrilling Korean series is already leading the top 10 shows being viewed on Netflix Philippines. And moving from the cinema, moving from the cinemas, TV, Broadway musical turned film Dear Evan Hansen is coming to U.S. theaters this weekend. The cast talks about how the film's themes of loneliness and isolation resonated deeply with them, especially now. CNN's David Daniel reports.
Have you ever felt forgotten in the middle of nowhere? I wish everything was different. Wish I was part of something. Wish that anything I said mattered.
Ben Platt returns to the title role in Dear Evan Hansen. 6 years after he first played the teen with social anxiety, Platt says he's learned from Evan.
I think seeing how dire things get for him in the story and how much redemption he's able to have, it's really encouraged me in my own life to force myself off those cliffs and really experience those moments of pain or discomfort in the name of something deeper and more connected.
Let that lonely feeling wash away. Maybe there's a reason to believe you'll be okay.
I didn't know that you were hurting. When you see how complicated this period of life is, I think for adolescents and for parents as well.
For me, it just felt like such a universal story, just about needing each other, about connectivity.
When I read the script, I cried throughout the entire thing.
There are a lot of people who feel like us.
Co-star Amanda Stenberg says she poured a lot of herself into her character.
It does have to do with like my own depression and anxiety and being so anxious that, you know, I'm not going to be enough for other people.
If you knew who I am, just how broken I am.
I already know you. And I love you.
In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
We still have 94 days before Christmas Day, and that is it for now. Thank you for watching. I'll see you again at 7 on News.ph. I'm Pia Ontiveros for Newsnight, where we go above and beyond the headlines.
This program is brought to you by
RPN, Radio Philippines Network, Radyo Ronda, DXKT Davao, member, kapisanan ng mga broadcaster ng Pilipinas.
Gastritis is a growing problem in Asian countries, including here in the Philippines. The condition causes inflammation of the stomach lining, triggered by stress, excessive alcohol use, certain medications, just to name a few. Now, people with gastritis experience nausea, abdominal pain, indigestion, and even at times vomiting. Now, the condition alone isn't serious for the most part, and it can go away within a few days. But as with many diseases, if left untreated, it can lead to other, even serious medical conditions. On the program today, we'll talk more about the causes of gastritis, how we can prevent it, the symptoms that need to be addressed, and how to manage and treat the disease. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez, and welcome to MedTalk Health Talk on CNN Philippines. We all have a protective lining in our stomachs called mucosa. It's there to protect our stomachs from the strong stomach acids that digest the food that we eat. When something damages the mucosa, it then becomes inflamed. That's when gastritis happens. With us is Dr. Jonathan Babsaay. He's a family medicine specialist from the UP-PGH. And also with us is Dr. Marie Michelle Simbol-Cloa, who's the chief of gastroenterology section at the Manila Doctors Hospital. Now that we know what gastritis is, let's discuss naman. Let's talk about kung anong nagko-cause nito. Anong mga factors that may cause gastritis?
So the two most common causes of gastritis is still H. pylori or Helicobacter pylori, or what we call also the pain relievers or the non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs.
A lot of our viewers still believe that the diet plays an important role of this. Masyado maraming ininom na kape, masyado maraming spicy food. Dr. Joe, what do you think? Is diet still a main factor when it comes to gastritis?
Food in general does not really cause gastritis, although may mga factors na pwedeng mag-push to that. Mga, kunwari, alcoholic drinks, mga ganyan. However, if you already have gastritis, yung mga pwede natin kinakain can trigger the symptoms of gastritis.
Doc Joe, why is gastritis common in countries like ours?
Isang factor na pwede natin matanggap ay may possibility na medyo laganap ang H. pylori sa atin. Kasi mas sinasabi nila na kapag maraming compact, yung nakatira sa isang area, low-income families, ganyan, medyo mataas talaga yung incidence ng H. pylori. Kaya more than likely laganap siya sa Pilipinas. And maraming factors na nakaka-apekto sa Pilipinas na magpaparami ng gastritis.
Are there activities that Filipinos do that may make the risk of them developing gastritis higher?
Skipping of meals, so masyadong bugbog sa trabaho or walang makain talaga na pagkain. Yung pagpili, tas minsan mabilisan yung pagkain natin, so nakaka-cause yun ng symptoms. Or minsan yung choices nga. Hindi man siya nakaka-cause talaga ng gastritis, but then it can trigger yung symptoms talaga ng gastritis.
Are there symptoms that could be so mild during the earlier stages of gastritis that a person will not mind this at all? Kumbaga, it's not something that they would notice. This is something that is not significant, but could, if unchecked, could later on lead to even more serious conditions.
Since gastritis really is a histologic diagnosis, so at first, patients with gastritis will really feel something. So for patients with dyspepsia, they would notice that they would have abdominal discomfort or pain, as I mentioned, in the epigastric area that's in between your ribs and your belly button. No? But with gastritis, you would notice that patients will complain more symptoms or more severe pain or more frequent symptoms or more with alarm features like anemia, there is passage of blood in the stool, or sometimes there is nausea, vomiting, and they have early satiety. They can no longer eat very well.
How is gastritis related with stress?
There is an increase of your acid output in your stomach. So with increased acid output and with the lessened defense mechanisms of your stomach, this can also produce your gastritis, if not outright ulcer. All right, so stress per se can trigger symptoms of dyspepsia. At worst, can cause gastritis or ulcers as well.
Now, I think it's important that our viewers know some of the differentiation, Doc Mitch, between gastritis and gastroenteritis. They both sound the same, but what are the differences?
For gastroenteritis, we're referring to infections, either viral, bacterial, or parasitic that involves the small intestine as well as the function of your stomach. So they're different because with gastritis, we are referring to an acid-related disorder.
Let's recap. Ano ba yung mga pinaka-common symptoms na mararamdaman ng isang tao who has gastritis?
Pananakit talaga ng sikmura. So, kung nasaan yung tiyan talaga. So, yun yung pinaka number one. Yung iba pang pwedeng maramdaman would be pwedeng may pagduduwal, nasusuka, yun yung mga pinaka-common doon.
Pwede bang mapagkamalan ang simptomas ng gastritis with that of indigestion o ang impatcho?
Ang impatcho basically or indigestion ay hindi siya diagnosis, pero simptomas siya na yun niya parang pulo yung tiyan, may abdominal fullness, bloated ka. So, ang kaibahan niya sa gastritis ay ang indigestion, pwede siyang simptomas ng gastritis. Yan. Pero pwede din ang indigestion